Hey, gospel guitarist here. I had a question the other day about when you're using your GR-55 Roland synthesizer, how can I add a boost to my tone for lead solos and such? And a lot of us, when we're soloing, we'll hit a pedal, just an overdrive or whatever, to kick it up a notch. Well, we can do some pretty cool things inside the GR-55. So let's take a look inside and see what we got to do to set this up. Okay, what I did was modified the Les Paul Plus stack patch that was in the rhythm section, and proceeded to learn how I could set up a boost in here using the control button on the pedal board. As you can see, I've renamed it to Les Paul Stack and Boost, and I've saved it in my user section. So what we need to do, I'm just going to go back into the patch and show you what I did. When you edit, hit the edit button and you'll default to wherever you were last, but you want to be in your tone settings. And here there's some pads set up, and you got your electric guitar as set as a Les Paul. So if you skip over to your effects tab, you'll notice that I have a compressor now set up on the multi-effects section. So if we skip down here, now the multi-effects and the modulation sections can be attached to your control switch, your CTL switch on the unit. So when you hit the switch, you can turn whatever you have this set to on and off. The easy way of doing this would be to use a compressor, because on a compressor you got your gain setting and you can control how much gain you want, and for lead solos having a little compression is nice to get a lot more sustain. So I figured, well, just go with a compressor. And if you hit the arrow button and pan over, you can set your effects level. You want 100. And then here you got your attack and threshold and your important gain control. I find +3 is a pretty decent change in volume level. It's definitely noticeable without blowing your head off. And so that's one way to do it, is to pan over here and set your gain. I have it to 3, it goes up to +18 or to 0. So it's default at 3 and it seems to work fine. I haven't touched anything. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to page over to your effects tab once you get your compressor set up. And another thing real quick, while you're setting up your compressor, if I can get this back over here, you can play I'm playing through a Carbon acoustic amp right now, with and without the gain change. And if I hit the control button, so you can hear the difference in the volume. So if I crank this up to like 15, strike a chord here, hit the control switch, that's pretty drastic. I know you're not going to want to kick it up that much, but just for the illustration here. And so you can play with this back and forth until you're happy with where you want it, and then you can save the setting. But before you do that, you're going to want to page over to your master tab and enter your pedal GK control section. So hit enter, and the control status is defaulted off because you're probably not going to jump right into a lead solo. Hit the down arrow, and here you have your control function multi-effects switch. So I'm setting the control to function with the multi-effect switch. I can set it to my modulation switch, my amp switch, your tone switches, a whole set of stuff that you can do. But you want to set it to your multi-effects section. That's where we're setting up our compressor to give us the boost. So we want to assign that compressor to the switch as a function and set it to off, so that when you save the patch or switch into this patch, it won't be turned on. It'll be off when you hit the patch. Then when you need a boost, you can turn it on. And at this point, you want to write to wherever you're saving it, and give it a second to do that, and then you're done. That's it. Now a little trick I wanted to show you. That's what I did there. Another way you can do this, which is actually pretty cool, you can hit the edit and page over to your effects, and back here where I have compressor set, you can go in here and start changing all kinds of things. You can set up right here a guitar amp simulator. So I can change this from a compressor, just being a compressor stomp box. I could actually set up an entirely different guitar amp. Now as you see up here, this is a Marshall 1959 one. So I can change this effect to whatever other amp I want to use in here. So I can go over here and you've got your amp settings. So here's a Mesa Boogie. I had it set to clean, and you've got a JC120 clean, which is a Fender, I believe the Fender Twin, Matchbox and Mesa Boogie, and then back into your Marshall amps, Marshall 2, Marshall 1 and 2, Soldano, your 5150. Let's say I wanted to go with a 5150. So instead of using a compressor, now I'm actually using another amplifier model. So it's actually like I'm playing rhythm guitar through a Marshall stack, and then when I go for my solos, I hit the control button, and now I'm playing through a 5150 stack for a completely different sound. And you can adjust your volumes, your master volume, and what kind of speaker setups you want. Different cabinets are in here, so just a 412. And then I can write that and save the patch. So now I'm using actually two completely different amps. So let's see, what does that sound like? Your normal stack here. I know it's not mic'd up, but you'll hear a difference here. So there's a lot of gain, but the volume's down, so I'd have to go back in and turn the volume up and get the volume difference the way I want it. And this way we can just set up a completely different stack. We'll run this volume up a little more here. I don't know how far I gotta go on it. The master, we'll just throw it up. So whatever you want to do, you can set up two different modeling amps in one tone, or just use like the compressor to kick up the tone that you're already using. And that way you don't have to set up another tone stack and switch like to a completely different patch. You can do it all in one patch using one tone within the patch. So that's a lot of flexibility actually. So I thought that was a pretty good question posted to me, and I went in and did some digging on how to do it. And this is the answer. So many of us use the boost, especially if you're out there rocking and rolling. So that's how it's done in this unit. I hope you found the video helpful, educational, and if so, please like my channel and subscribe and post questions, because that's what causes me to dig in to the unit. So that's basically how you set this all up on the system, and that's how I'm learning to use it. People ask me questions, or I come up with a real life scenario of what do I want to do with this, and then I have to come up with a solution. So if you have questions, please post them. Rock on. Thanks for watching.